Hi guys. Hello. How are you? Right. So excited. So it is currently a little after 7:30. What is it? 7:35 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. So if you're with us now, say hi. Let us know that you're watching. I have my master healer, Dr. Tiffany, with me. We're going to have a great tonight. And if you're watching the replay, then do hashtag replay. But let me see if I can pull up these comments here. Okay. Hi, everybody. So do us a favor as you join, be sure to click the share button, tag any friends or family that you think should come hang out with us. Okay. Now I can see the comments rolling in. Perfect. Hi, Robin. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Carol. Love it. How is everyone feeling with this new moon? We got a new moon tonight. How are we feeling? I always feel so good under a new moon. Full moons kick my butt, but like new moons, I'm like, I'm here for it. I've got it. Hi, Candace. All right. So if you guys are new, if you don't know Dr. Tiffany, then I'm super excited for you guys to meet her. She's been live with me, I think just about every month for like a year almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been something like that. Yeah. So super excited. If you guys don't know Dr. Tiffany, I have all of her information in the description of the video. So if you're on Facebook, it's up there. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's going to be down there. But I want to go ahead and just kind of, I guess, hand the floor over to you. And if you want to let people know who you are and introduce yourself, and we'll just kind of hang out.
Yes, perfect. So I'm Dr. Tiffany. I'm a chiropractor in South Central Pennsylvania. I also do bioenergetic testing, emotional healing, and really help to have people heal from all aspects outside of just physical pain. So I have been a chiropractor since 2009, and I love everything about it. And I love being able to do the virtual stuff too. I've been doing the virtual stuff for a couple years now. So I love not only being able to help people inside of my office, but then to have the tools to be able to help people across the country too, as needed for whatever stage in their healing journey that they are in.
Sorry, I was choking on air.
I saw that.
I muted myself so I didn't interrupt. Yep. So Dr. Tiffany does some really cool things, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But if you have heard of Tiffany before, let us know. If you've never heard of Tiffany, let us know in the comments. And again, I have all of her information in the description of the video. If you guys want to follow her on Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff, just all of her information is up in the description. So Tiffany, what is it that you do exactly?
So outside of the chiropractic that I do inside of my office, the virtual stuff that I do is bioenergetic testing and holographic manipulation therapy. So holographic manipulation therapy is a virtual technique that I do to help people heal and rewire past traumas, which can have a major impact on so many aspects in their life, in their health, in their healing. Right now, I am currently not accepting new clients Once the new year comes, then I'm going to reassess my schedule and see what I can add in to be able to start taking new clients on again. But the other virtual aspect that I do is the bioenergetic testing, which is a hair and saliva sample that you send in. And it checks all kinds of different things. So there's different scans that you can choose from, whether you want to do the full scan and you want to focus on everything. If you just want to do like a food sensitivity and nutrition scan, if you want to do the emotional awareness scan, which that's the one that I have a special on for this month until January 1st. So $75 off of that one, which is a very good deal. And if I had to choose, that would be my favorite one, just because of working with the whole emotions and healing traumas and different things like that. So with that scan, it tells you about emotions that are resonating with you, usually subconsciously, that you are not really aware of is what you're holding on to. Self-sabotaging thoughts, types, emotions with that. It gives you your resonating color, your resonating gemstone, your resonating essential oils, nutritional imbalances, and then your polycrest, your resonating polycrest, which is basically like a homeopathic remedy that has a wide range of uses for it. And then you also get the option with that scan to order the infused remedy. So the infused remedy takes everything from your scan. So your color, your gemstone, your polycrest, everything that shows up on your scan that resonated with you. And it takes the energy from all of that and infuses it into this remedy for you to take to help balance out all of those things and help you heal energetically.
I love that. I love it. And we did that. Well, we did a version of it. Which one did I do?
You did the full scan.
The full, yeah, that's what I thought. And I'm like, I don't remember. It's been like a year. But and if you guys have watched this before, I've talked about this before, like I thought it was mind blowing. I mean, it was just so neat to me. The things that it pointed out about my physical body, the things it called me out on as far as my emotional well-being, and like some of my behavior, some of my habits, like all of that showed up in the scan. I'm like, how did they know that just from a tiny little, like, it was just like this much hair. Like it wasn't a lot at all. I'm like, how did they know this much about me?
Mind blowing the way that energy works.
It was just so cool. And, we talk about this, I think every time we go live, how like mind, body, soul, it's all connected. And I feel like that scan really sort of touches base on all parts of that.
Yeah. Yep. It sure does.
Yep.
So Candace asked, how do I heal from past trauma when it's still occurring? There's really no way to completely heal from it if you are still in the situation where it's happening. We can work to have you be able to respond internally better to it. But until you remove yourself from that environment that is causing the trauma, that is causing all of those issues, you're never going to be able to fully heal from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be difficult, and I think, if we're being realistic, sometimes we can't leave a traumatic situation that we may be in at the moment, but learning, how to deal with it, learning how to maybe look at it a little differently, or even understand our own behaviors, and how it sort of, maybe we struggle with boundaries, or, maybe there's something like that there that we can sort of pinpoint to better understand how we can control some of the situation.
Yeah. And also like the way that we store things in the subconscious too, with the way that we form our identity at a young age, we have certain things stored in our subconscious that will make us run to familiar situations. So if this type of trauma that you are going through is something that you experienced in childhood as well, or that you saw in childhood as well, your subconscious always wants to stick with what's familiar, whether it's healthy for you or not.
Yeah.
So you could get some benefit from working on rewiring some of those subconscious traumas, which would then allow you to have a different response to it, not have that trauma response of finding yourself in the same situation all the time. And if we can change the way that we respond to things, that could have a huge impact to be able to help us think more clearly and think more logically about how to get out of a situation as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. It's interesting the way the mind works, because if we think about it, the brain is really a computer, right? So it believes what you tell it. It believes what it experiences. And so it takes time, but you can rewire that. You can rewire that computer to see things differently, react to things differently, understand things differently. And
Mhm.
it's really cool. Well, I just think the brain is cool. Like I'm always like, I'm no brain specialist by any means, but I'm always so fascinated with like any studies on it. Like I want to read that. I want to learn about it.
Yes. And it's very true that like how you interpret things is different from one person to the next.
Hmm.
And it's all based on how your identity is formed
Yep.
and the filters that you have in place. So
Hmm.
inside of our conscious mind and our subconscious mind are so many filters that filter out so much information that we have coming to us. And it will filter out anything that doesn't resonate or match with those subconscious beliefs. So that's why you can have two people be told the same exact information and respond completely differently to it.
Hmm.
So, an easy kind of way that I use to help people understand that too is if you take someone who lives in Alaska who is used to 0-degree temperatures and you bring them down to the States, say you bring them to Pennsylvania where we are, and
Hmm.
it is 50 degrees outside, they're going to look at it like, wow, this is really warm. I don't even need to wear a coat. I can go outside in a t-shirt. But
Uh-huh.
if you bring somebody up from Florida to this same temperature, they're going to be freezing cold,
Hmm.
bundling up, hats, mittens, everything, and they're going to look at it like it's freezing cold. But it's the same 50 degrees temperature to
Hmm.
each individual. They're just interpreting it completely differently based on their past experiences and based on what they have in their subconscious of their beliefs and their thoughts and
Yeah.
what all they have gone through in life.
Yep. Yep. I love that example because it's so true. I remember when I moved to Texas, I experienced that. Like I was walking around, it's like 50 degrees. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it feels so good. And like people in Texas are like dressed like it's like 25. And I'm like, what? I'm like driving down with my windows down and they've all got like hoods in the car. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Oh, Jeannie said I'm in Alaska.
Oh, nice. What's the degrees in Alaska right now?
That is one place that I would like to visit.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I have a couple chiropractors and actually my chiropractic coach who lives in Alaska.
Hmm.
So I am constantly seeing like the pictures that they post and everything. They
Hmm.
post so many pictures of like the northern lights that I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so
Oh,
beautiful.
that is one thing I would love.
Yes.
20 degrees. Oh, no, thank you. I
Yeah.
was complaining today because what was it here? It was like 40, 45. And I was like, this is stupid. Let's go. Let's go to Jeannie's. I'm sure she would love some company. All right, we're on our way. I love it. So far, what we've talked about. Let us know if you guys have questions for Tiffany. Let if you have questions about how the scan works or what sort of things the scan can show. Because I will say this, and I can always only speak from my own experience. That scan was eye opening for me. Like
Mhm.
it really, especially because you walked me through it and kind of like explained things to me, and I thought that was really helpful. And it was just, I remember sitting there and like reading over it and then listening to what you said, and I'm like, this is like incredibly accurate. And some of the stuff I knew, some of the stuff I didn't know, but once it was like put in front of me, I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. That makes like a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And it helped me moving forward to just be more self-aware of some things. I made some changes to my diets. I added in specific vitamins. And I mean, if I compare myself right now to where I was when I took that scan almost a year ago, like maybe it was a year ago. I was close, but like I feel 10 times better.
Yeah. I think yeah,
It was
it was
close,
about a
wasn't
year
it?
ago. Yeah. It was right after you moved here.
Oh yeah. So then, yeah, it's been about a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yep. That's wild. Yep. I love it. All right. So do you guys have questions? You guys are quiet in the comments. Do you have questions? Is this something that you want to learn more about? Is this something that maybe you have experience with? But I definitely think that these scans are something that is eye-opening, can help you focus on mind, body, and soul, right? Like it's all in one. And it'll just really help you to better have that understanding of how you can feel your best overall. Like when we take care of our mind, body, and soul, we're taking care of all aspects of ourselves. And so that's where you really start to see the improvement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and like I said, there's different options for the scans. I have all of those on my website, and I have sample reports on the website. So you can scroll through each of the sample reports to see what all information is included in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the awareness scan is the one that has the special going on for this month. It's normally $250 and it's $75 off. So that brings it down to the $175. So if you want to treat yourself for the holidays or a gift for somebody that, that person that's just impossible to buy for, I could almost guarantee they probably haven't had an awareness scan, a bioenergetic scan. So that could be something very special and unique that you get for them. Or, if you want to get it for yourself as kind of like the New Year present to start making some shifts and changes in your life as well. But yeah, there's all kinds of different options on there depending on what it is that you're looking for. If you're having any sort of digestive issues or physical issues like that, then you may be more interested in the full scan or some of the other scans to go over food sensitivities or nutritional imbalances or toxins. There's a couple of scans that give you toxin information. If you have any sort of resonating viruses or bacteria or mold or parasites, chemicals and heavy metals, there's some scans that will give you that information as well. But the main thing whenever you do the scans is to, one, understand that it's completely different from a medical lab test that you would do. And I'll go over that in a second. And second is, if you're going to spend the money to do the scan, then I would highly, highly recommend to plan to purchase whatever remedies are recommended to help you move further into healing. Because just being told the information and making some changes here and there, depending on what your situation is not going to give you big shifts if you are somebody who is struggling with a lot of different health issues. If it's just some minor stuff here and there and you're just kind of interested in making some small tweaks, then maybe doing the scan and like what Ashley did, just changing some of your diets, changing some vitamins, nutritional stuff can have a benefit for you. But if you are somebody who has chronic stuff going on or anything that is just like you can't get to the bottom of it, you've been to doctors, you can't figure out what's going on, plan to do the scan along with taking whatever remedies are recommended as well. But it's different from a medical lab test in that when you do a medical lab test and they are drawing your blood and checking for things, they are checking for the presence or absence of something in your system. And that's how they're able to diagnose you. So if in their test it shows up that you have a virus, then that is telling them, hey, this virus is currently in your system right now, and I can diagnose you with that. With these bioenergetic tests, we are not able to diagnose anything because we are not checking for the presence or absence of something. We're checking for the energetic stress that's still being held in the body. So if, for example, a toxin shows up, like let's just say a heavy metal shows up in your system, that is not saying that the heavy metal is currently still in your body. It's just saying that at some point in your life, you came across that toxin and your body is still holding on to that energetic stress that it had whenever you came across the toxin. So changing that energetic stress response, removing that stress response from the body and helping it come back into alignment and balance is what energetic testing is all about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And it's wild to me how the body holds on to things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it holds on to everything. And that's just, yeah.
It can help with the long COVID symptoms. Yes, it absolutely can, because there's definitely going to be some stress being held onto from that. And for a lot of people, because of the amount of emotional trauma and stress that they endured during that time, there's going to be some emotional stuff being held onto with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then I think that that's a good example of where it goes back to like mind, body, soul. It's all connected.
It is. Yep.
Mhm.
And I think I shared this with you and maybe in another live too, but a lot of times like a food sensitivity
Mhm.
is associated with an emotional trauma that's being held on to. And at the time that you experienced that trauma, that food was in your system. So then in the future, then whenever you put that food back into your system, it's not really a allergy or a sensitivity to that food. It's your body being re-triggered and bringing up those symptoms of whenever you
Mhm.
experience that trauma. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like re-triggering that same trauma over and over again every time you put that food back into your body.
Yeah. Just wild. Just wild. I mean, the body is fascinating.
Yeah.
But I mean, you figure, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like let's say you had a big bowl of ice cream and a glass of milk and you've never had like a dairy sensitivity or anything, and the same night that you drank that, like you got into a major car accident that caused a lot of stress for you and physically you're fine, but then after that, like for some
Yeah.
reason, like you can't digest dairy anymore.
Yep.
I know a friend of mine, her dad is a crabber. Like that's his job. He goes out, he goes crabbing. And so she grew up in a house where it was constant seafood, constant shellfish. And then in her 20s, she just ended up developing a shellfish allergy. And I'm like, the body, like, how does it do that?
Yeah. And they usually say, like, whenever it comes to the food allergies, I'm sure you've heard this, the more you eat something, the more you have a chance
Mhm.
of developing an allergy to it. But
Yeah,
in reality, the more you eat something and the more it's in your system, the more you have a chance of experiencing a trauma at the same time that that food is in your system.
that is true. Yeah. Yep. It's off. I say it's awesome. I mean, it's not, but like it just my mind is like, that's so cool.
Yes, very intriguing.
Yes, it is. Yep. Yeah. So definitely head over. Be sure to follow Dr. Tiffany on Facebook and then, go to her website and check things out. And of course, always reach out if you have questions. But this is something that I think everyone should participate in at some point. Like when you feel called to, absolutely. And we hear all the time, new year, new me. Like this is the best way to go ahead and get started, right? That'll literally create a new you if you follow, what comes up in your report.
Yep.
Mhm. So while we're kind of on this subject, of how the body holds on to things and how like certain traumas can create certain food allergies, do we want to talk a little bit about like healthier ways to make changes when it comes to maybe how we deal with some of our traumas or how we're dealing with some of our stresses, like better ways to kind of juggle that so maybe it doesn't have such a big impact on us?
Yes. So, in order for something to be stored in the subconscious and then have the potential to have impact, it all has to do with attaching emotion to something.
Hmm.
So, first information comes to our conscious mind where we're able to think about it and analyze it and think like, okay, does this trigger me? Does this bother me? Does it cause an emotional response? Do I really feel indifferent about it? What's going on with this that's happening? The second that we decide to attach an emotion to it is when it bypasses the conscious mind and goes down into the subconscious mind. And then once it goes to the subconscious mind, it is very hard to change and shift and rewire without putting in extra work and knowing different techniques to use to change that, to allow that to be released from the subconscious to where the nervous system does not respond to it anymore.
Hmm.
So when you are going through anything, it can really help a lot to, and this can be easier said than done because I've definitely been in situations where I've just had immediate response,
Yep.
but it can help a lot to really have yourself not respond immediately
Hmm.
and give yourself a little bit of time to just breathe and think about it and not have that immediate, oh, I'm so mad. oh, that's that sort of thought. Because as soon as you attach that emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, feeling guilty, all of that, whatever emotion it is that you attach, it immediately leaves the conscious mind and goes down to the subconscious mind. And then the subconscious is really what controls the nervous system and our health. So just allowing yourself to have a few extra seconds or minutes, or if you are arguing with someone, if you are able to kind of step away for just a minute or two. I'm not saying to run away and avoid anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can help to just kind of step back, step away, leave the room for a minute or two, allow yourself to settle down so that then you can go back out there and finish whatever conversation you are having without having that immediate emotion response to every single thing.
Yeah. One of those favorite little sayings that I've heard before is, not everything deserves a reaction.
Exactly. Yep.
And, that took me a long time, like into my adulthood, to finally get, because, as a young adult, everything got a reaction, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, everything got a reaction. And so, as I got older, I really had to start learning how to say, okay, you're feeling something, Ashley, let's take a step back and let's react to this consciously rather than emotionally, because when we react emotionally, very rarely does anything good come from that.
Yeah.
So
now that's different. I will say that's different though than actually if you do feel emotionally about something. I'm not saying to cut that off or avoid it. I'm just saying give yourself a second. If after a couple of seconds you realize, okay, yeah, this really does make me feel this way, allow yourself to feel that.
Absolutely.
But what we don't want to happen is just every single piece of information coming at us, just keep having an emotional response to, because that's the way that our subconscious and our mind kind of works too, is once it feels something, it wants to keep feeling that. It likes familiar things. So I'm sure everybody has been in a situation where they felt sad about something and then they wanted to keep feeling that. So let's play some really sad music and keep ourselves crying and keep ourselves in this mood. Or after getting into a fight with somebody and feeling angry, then you start thinking about everything else that they've done that have made you angry to stay in that angry state. That's the way that the mind and the body work. So it really takes some training and some realization and some conscious thinking to realize, okay, wait a second. This isn't really me wanting to be this way. This is the subconscious and the way that it works trying to keep me here. It's not benefiting me at all to stay in this anger state or to stay in this whatever state that I'm in right now. If you've already gone through feeling whatever emotion that it was that you needed to feel, it's not going to benefit you any longer to continue staying in that emotion. So having the ability to kind of see that and make the conscious changes to not allow yourself to continue going down that path of keep triggering those same emotions.
Yeah.
That takes some, like I said, I don't want to say training, but just some
practice.
Practices. It takes some practice to really be able to allow yourself to see what's happening and be like, okay, nope.
Yep. I mean, just because I know that we cannot be the only ones who experience this. So in the comments, let us know, like, do you struggle with this? Is this something you've noticed about yourself? I mean, if so, what are some ways that you kind of pull yourself out of it? Because, we're human, right? And so it's important to approach that with compassion. And even though, like, I have this awareness, like we're talking about, of, I need to take a step back and react. I had a moment just a couple of weeks ago where I was like picking fights with my husband, my poor husband. He was probably like, oh my God, if you don't get out of here, because I got irritated about something and my brain wanted to stay in that. So then I was like picking fights, and he's looking at me like, if you don't get the hell away from me. And it took me a minute, but then I realized what I was doing. I was like, you know what, let me just walk away for a minute.
Yep. I think we've all been there before. Yeah. Get into an argument or about something. And usually it's not even anything big. It's just something little. And then I'm just like, oh. And then he loaded the dishwasher this way. And it's like,
and then it's just, and then it's like, from there.
What am I doing? Why am I keeping myself in this thought process? Not helping anything. Yeah.
The brain likes what it likes.
It does. So just becoming aware of that is a very good first step in that process to making some changes.
Yeah. 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 Susan said, I try to take a pause too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's really one of the best things you can do because it allows you to acknowledge how you're feeling. And it allows you to kind of take just a second to see, is this really what I'm feeling at the moment? Or is this what I was feeling maybe a few minutes ago? And now I'm no longer really in that space, but my brain is still there. Or maybe it helps you even just recognize your triggers so that you can be more aware of those and try to figure out where that trigger stems from so that you can heal that part. And then you don't feel triggered as much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can definitely be hard to do.
Yep.
I'm a chiropractor.
Oh, I was like, what? Yeah, I see
It was just random. Hey, I'm a chiropractor.
I was like, okay. Yeah, Jennifer said, yes, I've been trying to help my twin with staying in the loss and sadness, making a happy moment sad to think about trauma. How can I help her in some way?
It's hard whenever it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Because it has to come from them wanting to make the change. And if they are not ready or they are not open to changing things, it can just be more stressful on you. Of feeling like you are just talking in circles, pretty much. So I would say the first step is just seeing if she's open to change and open to wanting to make some shifts. Because depending on where she is at in the grief process, she just might not be ready.
Yeah.
That can be okay too, because grief is different for everybody. And if she's still processing it in her own way, and that's the way that she wants to be processing it, then let her.
Yep.
And if you talk to her and she says like, no, I don't like being like this, I do want to make changes, then that's a different situation to where you can start to kind of work with her and help her through that. But it really comes down to if that person is ready or not ready to make change. And I've been in those situations so many times, not only with patients, but with family members as well. Just like knowing that things could be different and that I could help, but then realizing like, hey, it's not on me. I can give them the information, but it's up to them to want to actually make the changes and move forward with it. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You cannot hold it to yourself to feel like you have to be the one to change them or help them. They have to want to help themselves. And that's with anything in life. You can care, but you don't want to carry their burdens either. That's on them to have to take responsibility for their own health and what they want to do with it. But by all means, you can be supportive and you can help them through that. You just don't want to take on that burden of feeling like it's up to you to make them change.
Yeah. Yeah. And finding that line, especially when it's someone like a sibling or an immediate family member or a best friend, like someone that you have that really close connection with, finding that line can be difficult because that's just kind of what we do, right? It's like, I love you, your problems are my problems, but we like that can become very toxic for both parties. And just having that self-awareness to be like, this is where I draw the line. I'm not going to let myself cross it. But yeah, give her all the tools and then it's up to her on what she does with it or doesn't do with it. Totally up to her. Just reading some of these comments. Yeah. Amanda said, my husband gets so angry and worked up over the least little thing. Most recently, the Christmas star, and he ruined my birthday. I'm sorry. That sounds like a lot of unresolved trauma.
It does.
Just a lot of things that he has to deal with. And so you'll see that a lot in people, especially people who maybe struggle with self-awareness. They don't know how to kind of internalize things. So instead they project everything. And usually anger is covering up for another emotion, sadness, or, something along those lines.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it okay, but it just kind of, I think we
get a little more insight into why it could be happening. Yeah. Because whenever we have trauma stored at the subconscious, it's like a chain link kind of building one upon the other. So as we grow up and we get older, we have all of these past times that we've ever experienced that anger, that we've ever experienced this sadness or guilt or shame or whatever it may be. We have all of these things building up on a link in a chain, so that then as we get older, it's kind of like our fuse becomes shorter and shorter, because every time we experience that same emotion, then it's not just the emotion from that one event that you're in, it's all of those past times coming to the surface as well, and kind of like bubbling over as well. Yep. Road rage is a perfect example of this, of that person cutting that person off in traffic was not what caused them to have such an eruption of anger. Mm-hmm. It was because that triggered that same response, and then they had all of this anger come to the surface from all of those past events that they've experienced all throughout their lives that mm-hmm. caused them to feel that. So if you have somebody who is constantly just angry or whatever emotion it is, and it really seems like it's over nothing, it's most likely that they've experienced so much throughout their lives that they don't even realize that they are getting to that point so quickly over little things.
Yeah. And it's not impossible for them to rewire that. It just has to be a choice that they make.
Yeah. And that's what the HMT can do.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for you to reopen those for people, because I freaking loved mine.
I know. I'm hoping to reopen it back up in January. Mm-hmm. Every time it gets around the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas, though, there's just so much going on.
Oh yeah.
And I only am able to do it in the evenings after mm-hmm. my chiropractic office closes. So keeping that up throughout November and December, I know that mm-hmm. I would have completely burnt myself out. Yeah. So yeah, I've learned over the years of catching it before it actually happens mm-hmm. and making the changes that I need to not allow myself to get there. So
do that. Self-realization. Yes. I do the same thing. That's why this month I'm not doing any private one-on-ones, because the same thing. I'm like, I need more flexibility in my schedule. Like it's a busy month. Yeah. Yeah, Sue said, I let the situation play out. I try to analyze the person attacking me and think to myself, why are they attacking me? What's going on with them that they're lashing out at me? Usually the situation isn't personal, but it gets made personal with the attacks. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I think we all experience that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, it's like people projecting because they don't know how to go inward, or they refuse to go inward because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is not a comfortable, fun, fluffy thing to work on your inner work and your traumas. I will say, though, with the HMT therapy, it's a lot less hard to do than traditional therapy, because with that, you're not having to relive the past trauma or anything like that. You're not having to talk to me about it, tell me what happened. None of that is necessary with it whenever we are speaking directly to the subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. So the HMT therapy makes it a lot easier for somebody to work on past traumas without having that overwhelm or that stress come along, or all of that goes with that thought process of having to think about it or talk about it or anything like that, because that's not necessary.
Yeah. When we did ours, what came up was unexpected. But I agree with you. Like the way that you walked me through it and the way that you helped me sort of identify it, understand it, release it was much less intense. And I had been in years prior, I had been in therapy for like 10 plus years on and off regarding that same situation. And it was always like, I was sobbing, and it was just, I had to relive it over and over and over. I didn't do that with you, but I felt a million times better.
Yeah. So HMT therapy is holographic manipulation therapy. I would say, yes, it's a very gentle therapy. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, you don't have to share with me anything that has happened to you. That's not necessary to communicate with the subconscious. The subconscious part of the brain is where trauma is stored. So any sort of talk therapy where you're just talking it out with somebody and logically talking about it from your conscious mind is not going to make the lasting changes, because the subconscious is where the trauma is stored. It is not stored in the conscious mind. So with HMT therapy, we communicate directly with the subconscious. It takes us to whatever that overwhelming event was. Sometimes it takes a couple of times to really get us to that first desensitizing event. But once the subconscious takes us there to that event, we immediately start to rewire and shift and change in your mind what happened, so that you are able to change it into whatever amazing positive event you want it to be. So with the therapy, we are not erasing the memory from you. We are just changing how the nervous system responds to it. Because when we have a trauma that happens, the nervous system, which is the master system of the body that controls every aspect of your health, it is constantly responding to that trauma as if you are still in it and it's still happening and it's not over yet. And by doing that, it keeps you in that sympathetic fight or flight response. And when you are in that fight or flight response, you are not able to heal and recover properly. And over time, staying in that sympathetic response can cause different chronic illnesses to arise, different pain, all kinds of terrible things to arise, because your body just doesn't have the healing capacity because it's in that fight or flight all the time.
Yeah. And the way that you sort of lead people to, that subconscious and what needs to be unlocked is it's very gentle. It's like, it's kind of like you just kind of do like a guided meditation almost. Like it's just very like, close your eyes, and here we go. And I just kind of follow your lead. And I think I was there like that. I was like, oh, look, here we are.
Yep.
Didn't know where I was going, but here we are.
Yes. So we always start a session with putting you into whatever safe place that is. And you're allowed to take yourself to whatever safe place it is. So we always anchor you in that safety before we start jumping into having the subconscious guide us and lead us to whatever that event is. And when we are speaking with the subconscious, it communicates differently than the conscious mind. So the subconscious communicates with sensory things. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to you the way that it works, but like I'll ask you about a color that comes to mind, or a shape, or a temperature, or a texture. And all of those questions is what's communicating with the subconscious to then help us guide us to whatever that past event was that needs to be worked on.
Yep. Yeah. Whenever she reopens those, you guys should absolutely book one.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's like, it sounds amazing. Sounds like it would help me. Yeah. Oh, it will. I think things like that will help anybody, as long as you're open to it and as long as you're receptive and you're willing to like trust where you feel led. You unlock some really interesting things. So
Natalie, reading your comment now, you are not the first person to say that I've worked with. Whenever somebody has a hard time with overthinking, the easiest way that I can get them to follow along is to basically tell them, let's just play pretend. Your answers don't matter. Let's just play pretend. Whatever that first thing is that comes to mind, just go with it. There's no right or wrong answer. So if I were to say, like, if you're sitting on the ground with your kids and you're playing pretend, are you second guessing the answers that come to your mind? If they say, oh, what color dress are you wearing? Are you like, oh man, okay, well, this color came to mind first, but is that the right color that I want to tell them during this time? No, you just playing pretend. You're just like, oh, yellow. Yeah, that's the color dress that I'm wearing. So it's really about just giving yourself that freedom of knowing that there's no right or wrong answer. Your subconscious is going to give you the information. 9 times out of 10, it's going to make no sense to you. So just give yourself that freedom to be like, okay, nothing's going to make sense. So I might as well just play pretend and just go along with whatever comes to mind. That's really the best way. And with the therapy, like Ashley has talked about this in different lives before, where like you or other spiritual mediums or whatever maybe have different ways that they communicate. And it can be kind of the same thing with this therapy too. Somebody may be really good at visualizing things, and that's the way that they go through the therapy for. I have a terrible time at visualizing images in my head. So I really just go with whatever that first thought is that pops in my mind. So like one of the examples is one of the techniques that we do is about like working with the energetic field in front of us. And one of the things that we do is work with an image that pops up in front of us. So I can ask somebody, okay, what color is that image? Some people will actually see the color and see an image out in front of them. I'm not one of them. So whenever I'm doing this and I go, okay, what's the first color? Just whenever I say, okay, what color is that image? Just whatever that first color word that is set in my head is the one that I go with. So there's all kinds of different ways that people can work through this therapy based on what they're best at.
Yep. Yeah. And I love that you do that, because I do something very similar in my mentorships, especially the beginners. I tell them the same thing, like your intuition, it stems from the same part of your brain as your imagination. So let's just play pretend for a minute. Let's take the pressure off of it.
Yep.
And then once they do that, once they understand, okay, it's just my imagination, there's no pressure. It's just like, blah, 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 like everything just starts coming to the surface. And it's like, see, not that hard once you get out of your own way. What do you mean by that, Linda? She said, so often I have a hard time figuring out where my safe place is. I'm not sure if I have one. Is that common? Do you mean like physically or like?
So like that, if you're talking about like allowing your mind to go to wherever you feel safe, occasionally there are people that have no safe places, that can't think of a place because of everything that they've gone through in their lives. So if that ever happens, then the next thing that we work on is, when was a time where you felt pleasure? And a lot of times people will think of like their favorite food, or a time whenever they were eating something that was just so delicious that it's like, oh, that was the best thing that I've ever eaten. So if we can't find a safe place for you to go to, a place where you are feeling pleasure is the next place that we would go to. So whenever you're trying to meditate. So that would be my suggestion. If you're trying to find a safe place whenever you're meditating and you just can't find one, try to find a place whenever you experience pleasure. Yeah. And it can be something small, like Tiffany said, it can be, you ate something that was really good, or, maybe you have a memory of like, sitting outside on your porch and it was just like the perfect day, like the sun, there was a slight breeze, it was perfect 72 degrees or whatever it is that makes you happy, just something small. It doesn't have to be anything big. Yep, exactly. Yeah, but I think a lot of people struggle either with finding that safe place or learning how to kind of quiet their mind, trust their intuition, and I know I've talked about this before, and I can't remember. I'm sure we've talked about this at some point over the past few months, but I think we overcomplicate it as humans, right? We overcomplicate just about everything, but especially the subconscious and our intuition and all of that. We really overcomplicate it because I think the ego, the human mind, wants to be able to logically make sense of things. And the subconscious, it just doesn't logically make sense. And so it's like we're grasping for straws. And if we can just take a deep breath and allow ourselves to lean into that subconscious, it is surprising what comes forward when you make the space for it. But I think, it's beneficial for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old, 40 years old, 80 years old. I don't care. I think it's beneficial for everyone. Yeah, absolutely. I just saw something fly in front of your screen. Oh, hello. I was live last night too, and everyone was like, there's so many orbs around you. And I was like, when I'm doing readings, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm always like looking off into my ceiling, so I never see it. Yeah. So you have this special going on right now until, what did it say? January 1st at midnight. Yep. Yeah. And that is for just the awareness scan. So if you go to my website and you look at all the different scans on there, feel free to get whatever scan you want. But if it's the awareness scan that you want, if you type in code AWARE75, that will get you $75 off of the awareness scan until January 1st.
Yeah. And again, I've got all of her information in the description of the video. I also keep randomly, look, I'm going to do it again. I keep randomly posting it in the comments just because I know sometimes people are like, I can't find the description. Here it is. Yep. Yeah. So the bioenergetic testing is absolutely something that I would say if you feel drawn to it, check it out. Definitely check it out. It is really eye-opening. And I'm sure whatever scan you do is going to be eye-opening. I did the whole
Yeah.
sorry, there's fuzz from my I think maybe that's what it was. Maybe it
That's
wasn't
what
an
it
old
was.
fuzz. I'm a picker, so look what I'm doing to my shin. I'm just sitting here like now I lost train of what I was saying. Lost my thought.
Any scan that you choose is going to give you whatever information that you need, and it's going to be super helpful. But depending on what you're looking for, that's why I have the different scans set up in the way that I do. Audrey, an awareness scan is like an emotional scan. So with the awareness scan, it gives you information about emotional blockage or self-sabotaging thoughts that you have. It gives you your top resonating color, your top resonating gem, essential oils that resonate best with you, nutritional imbalances, and your top resonating polycrest, which is basically like a homeopathic medicine with a wide range of uses to it. And then you have the option of purchasing the infused remedy, which the infused remedy infuses all of the energetic frequencies from those items in your scan. So from your color, from your gem, from your essential oils, all of that gets infused into the remedy for you to take. And it really helps to just balance things out emotionally with that.
Yeah. And I love that this is like a virtual thing. It doesn't matter where you're located.
Doesn't matter where you're located. So whenever you purchase one, I send out a kit to you, and it's just a hair and saliva sample that you then ship back to the laboratory. And then once they process it, which usually takes about 2 weeks-ish, then I get an email with all of the report, which then I email over to you. So with the awareness scan, there is no extra video explanations because the awareness scan has all the information on it. So it's very simple to just read through and see what's going on with that. For the full scan and some of the other scans, you do get more of like a report of findings video and all of that to help better explain things.
Yeah, it's interesting. Absolutely. Like it is just so interesting to see what they can get from your hair or your saliva. Like,
yes. And this can be used on all ages. So not only you, but you can use it on your kids too. If any of your children are having trouble emotionally or anything like that, that can help give insight into them. And usually the infused remedy doesn't really have much of a taste to it. So it's pretty easy to kind of just squirt it in their mouths each day as needed. And then it can be used on pets too. So like the different scans, like to check for, food sensitivities or different things like that, or toxins, can be helpful on pets too, if you have pets with any issues going on.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So yeah, so all of Tiffany's information, again, it's, man, I got to stop picking. It's everywhere. It's in the description of the video. It's running down here in this little banner. I've got it in the comments. But if you do have questions about anything that maybe you don't want to share or you think of later, absolutely reach out to Tiffany and ask away.
Yes. Audrey, yes, this is more holistic. So with the full scans or any of the scans that give you your recommended remedy plan, the remedies are made up of either vitamins or homeopathic remedies. It's usually just, or minerals, those sort of things that come back that resonate best with your body. So whenever they are doing the full scan, they take all of the possible remedies based on your scan, and they also run those against your hair and saliva to see what resonates best with you. So you could have 2 people that come back with like the same heavy metal in their system that get given 2 different remedies because one remedy matched better with this person and the other ones matched better with this person, but it's still going to do the same thing of help detox whatever stress is being held onto from that exposure to a heavy metal. Yep. So, yes, it's definitely more of the holistic natural medicine approach. Yeah.
Yep.
I think I answered all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think you have this understanding, you get this report, you see, what's going on, you get this outline of how you can kind of treat it or help yourself kind of work through these things. And I mean, really, when you start to take care of, if we're just talking about the awareness scan, right? Because that's one that's on sale. If we're just focusing on that, you start to better understand these emotional components.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can learn how, okay, well, now I'm aware of this. So now I can be on the lookout for these triggers. I can be on the lookout for this type of stressor. And you can start to actually apply some changes, so that it's not something that you have to continue to deal with.
Yeah. And you get the nutritional imbalances in there too. So you
Mhm.
find out like what vitamins or minerals am I low in that maybe I need to start adding into my daily vitamin
Yep.
routine, and really help to boost that
Mhm.
nutritional wise. And then, yeah, when you're taking the remedy with the infused energetic frequencies from everything that resonates best with you, that really helps even more to just kind of balance things out.
Yep.
And you start to notice that you're thinking a little bit more clearly. You aren't as irritable, as jumpy, as responsive in situations.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like you just start to notice that over time. And you kind of look back and you're like, wait a second,
Yeah.
when did this happen?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love things like that in life when you don't realize it, like in the moment, but then like 3 months, 6 months down the road, you're like, hold up, things are different. Like you have that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So go
So,
ahead. Sorry.
so Audrey, it depends on everybody's situation. So somebody who has some more chronic stuff going on, I do recommend that they're probably going to want to do a couple of scans in a row. So you do a scan and then you get your remedies that are suggested. And those remedies usually last about 6 to 8 weeks. And then at the end of that, you want to do another scan to check and see how things have changed and if there's any new remedies now that resonate better with you since things have healed over the last 6 to 8 weeks. With that, though, there is an option for just a remedy scan. So a lot of times whenever I am working with the client, they'll do the full scan to start. And then the next couple of scans will just be remedy only scans, which saves a lot of money compared to doing a full scan to see, okay, what is the next supplements that I need to take now? Because as you are healing and as things are changing, your needs are going to change as well. So when you get your first scan and you get those remedies suggested there, that's what your body needs right there. But the point of that is to help you heal and move on to the next stage of healing.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what situation somebody is in, they may have a longer healing journey than somebody else. Me personally, though, even once I get to the point where I'm feeling good, I still like to do about one scan a year just to kind of keep things moving in that right direction. Because so
Like,
many things could change beneath the surface without us having
mm-hmm.
symptoms yet. So it's kind of like once you are feeling good, you still kind of want to stay ahead of that game and make sure that you are keeping track of anything that's shifting or changing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's like maintenance on your car. Yeah.
Or going to the gym. You finally hit
Yeah.
your goal weight and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
does that mean you want to just stop there? Or do
Yep.
you want to keep going to maintain? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So this is awesome. And it really is, if you're totally new to this, you might feel like you're a little overwhelmed by it all, but I promise you, Tiffany takes care of you. Like she makes it very simple. I remember when I first went into it, I was like, I don't know what any of this is, but I'm here for it. And I remember I came into your office and like you were talking about it, and my mind was going, what? Like I'm so intrigued. I don't understand anything that we're talking about, but I am excited. And then once we did everything, the HMT and the energetic scan, like you just walked me through it in a way that I was like, okay, I get it. I get it 100%. Like makes sense. So yeah, so go follow her on Facebook, definitely check her out in her website and all of that. And like I said, if you guys have questions, by all means, reach out to her. Don't reach out to me about this because I won't be able to answer your questions. But definitely reach out to Tiffany.
Oh, Jennifer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good job on making all the changes that you have.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You're in Florida, like all of this bioenergetic testing and stuff that I do, it's all virtual. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be anywhere near me to get the benefits of the bioenergetic testing or the HMT whenever I start offering that again. That is all stuff done virtually. So I could absolutely do a scan on you if you do want to do one of the scans and see what the next step is as you are on your healing journey, for sure.
But kudos to you. It's not easy to decide I'm going to make changes and then actually follow through. So that's
It is
awesome.
not, yeah.
Yep. That's like we see new year, new me. And by February, everyone's like burnt out and back to the same old, same old. I've been like stressing to my clients. I'm like, use this time now to figure out what you want. Start putting things in place now so that
Yeah.
you don't burn out by February.
Yes.
All right. Well, I love this. I love coming on. I love chit chatting about this. It is absolutely one of my favorite things. Like I said, I think mind, body, soul, how it all works, how the subconscious works. It's fascinating.
Yes, it is.
It really is. So definitely go give Tiffany a follow. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about before we hopped off that I forgot about?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this. So I hope that you guys will go give her a follow. And then, like I said, check out her website. She's got that $75 off of the awareness scan just until January 1st. So definitely look into that if that's something you're interested in. But this has been great. Thank you guys for being here with us and hanging out.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we will catch you next time. Have a great night. Reach out to Tiffany if you have any questions. And I guess we will see you all next time.
Yes, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas. All right. Are we ready? I never know how to end these. I'm like, how do we end these? What do we do? All right. I love you all. We will see you later. Have a great night.